欢迎各位参加我们华严经讲座、佛学讲座。我叫恒师啊，今天是我们在澳大利亚是9月16，在加州是9月15，我们等一等就开始，就礼佛三问讯，然后呢就要请法然后开始讲大放光佛华严经十回向品。Okay, so let's get underway. Here we go. I'll make that a full screen here. Let's see now. Here we go. Share my screen. Full screen. There we go. 好的，那我敲眼请大家行三问心理。I'll ring the handbell and invite everybody to join me for 3 half bows. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Alrighty. Alan, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and lead us now.
恭请大德僧听，为此法会，及一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize numbers.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye Allahadi samya samputoshe.
Namo satanto suchedoye Arahati samya samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的，Alan, appreciate the Dharma request. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。So, greetings to all of Dharma friends, wherever you may be worldwide. We are going to invoke spiritual presence here and invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to draw near. 我们准备恭请华严海会佛菩萨天龙八部护法神圣莅临大场，祝福各位哈。 南无大方广佛华严经，华严海会佛菩萨，南无大方广华严经，华严海会佛菩萨，南无大方华严经。Alrighty. Now let me get myself arranged here. There we go. We would like to coming up here, we'll get there. Moving along. There we go. The Pomo people practiced spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here in the Ukiah Valley for tens of thousands of years, and today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们恭敬地承认 Pomo 人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。All right. Moving backwards now, we want to find the bell song one more time. There it is. And we have this beautiful hanging bell. Here we go. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 1,000 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. Wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传三天之内，佛法让万亿国中共训其法界和平，利益报贪我后的。The bell is still ringing. Wow, wonderful. What a great bell that is. Okay. We are ready to look into who is here today. And one of the best parts of our having lectures done on Zoom is the ability to see who has joined us. There's 103 of us who have joined in on Zoom, and others who will be joining in later on YouTube and various ways. So I am, as I said, I'm here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. Our Dharma requester and our co-host, one is in Berkeley, California, and the other is in Ukiah at City of 10,000 Buddhas. And our SISOP, Cheng Wei-Hua is in City of 10,000 Buddhas. Alice is here from Seattle. Let's see here. Anli is in San Jose. Bin Xin's in Shanghai. Bob and Fran are here from the, let's see, I never quite figured out. I keep saying this. It's either Redwood Valley or somewhere up in there in Mendocino County. Celeste is in Hong Kong. Lin Changqing is in Newbury Park. Let's see here. Bob could solve that by adding his place to his name. You just say rename, and then you tell us where you are. Okay. Yi Cheng-hee is in LA. Let's see here. Guo Chong-yi is in LA. Cliff's in the Gold Coast. Hey, Cliff. Let's see. Liu Tong is in Calgary. Connie's in Sunnyvale. Cynthia's in Saratoga. Donna, don't know where Donna is. Duke Levan's in Montreal. Edna's in Singapore. Elaine is in Texas and Ukiah, two different Elaines. Guo Hong is in Alameda, translating into Vietnamese. Hua Li is in Ukiah, teaching at Dharmarang Buddhist University, I bet. Guang, let's see here. Somebody called Huang Wei is in Guangdong. Okay, Ivy is in Taipei. Ivy. Jack is in Taiwan. Welcome. Jane is back in Berkeley. Guo Hua's in Union City. Jason's in Northern California. Jenny's in Seattle. Jensen's in Jakarta, over on this side of the planet. Katie's in Union City. Mr. Yip's in New Zealand. Linda is in San Francisco. Ling Fong Hey is in Seattle. See you tomorrow for poetry translation. Liz in New York City. Maggie and Billy, San Jose. Excellent. Maggie Sun's in Vancouver. Mai's in the Bay Area. Another Mai's in San Jose. May is here. Min Lee in Bothell, Washington. Wang Lung is in Mesa, Arizona. Sky Deng is in Calgary. Hey. Stacy, excuse me, San Bruno. Sylvia in Seattle. Let's see. Tam is in San Leandro. Jingling's in Vancouver. Viet DRBA is in California somewhere. Joe Wiley's in Gmail, that virtual space called Gmail. Willie's in Virginia. Yang Liu is probably in Ukiah. Iwan's in Ukiah. Mr. Ding is in Vancouver. Chen Yu is here with us. Excellent. Probably down in Fremont. Yvonne's in Malaysia. And Jen's in Santa Barbara. 然后呢，我们就改到地球的东半部呢 ，Eastern Hemisphere， 就说邱福芬在台北，还有我们的朋友在哪里啊？这个 print 太小了啊，文字印的太小。在开封、河南、北京、包头、上海、就说杭州、安徽、合肥。黑龙江、深圳、包头市，北京，湖南省 ，OK， 好的，欢迎，朝阳，黑龙江鸡西，哪里？安徽宿州，新北市，张先生，好的，欢迎，let's see here， 陕西宝鸡、黑龙江、安徽。黑龙江、深圳、黑龙江、吉林、北京3位江苏、镇江，中国河南许昌 ，OK，see 你们看，加你们的名字还有你们所在地，这个非常有用的非常有趣的，赫尔浩特 ，OK， 哈尔滨、浙江、南京。海南、西雅图，那不是中国 ，OK， 没有关系了。黑龙江、鸡西，哈尔滨、加拿大 ，OK， 赵东方在加拿大。好的，还有什么地方？黑龙江、吉隆坡 and 辽宁。All right, welcome everybody. 118 of us. We're growing as we go. Okay. How wonderful to have friends from all over the planet joining us here today. 就是全地球的朋友，所有参加。Okay. Now today we have launched into our 8th transference of the 10 transferences, and here it is, right here, brand new, beautifully laid out, lovely manuscript. Look at this.OK， 我们现在已经讲到第8回向，你看这个3种不同文字汉字 波破摩佛国音字母，还有英文，还有汉语拼音，有汉字，有国音字母，有汉语拼音，有英文 ABC，四个不同。I marvel in the presence of 4 different, what do they call them, orthographic systems, 4 different ways of writing. English ABCs, Chinese characters, the romanization system used in Taiwan called Guoyin Zimu, and Hanyu Pinyin, the romanization system used by everybody else. Look at that. So take your pick. Which one do you like? We can hear the Avatamsaka Sutra in all those different languages. 我们可以选择你可以选择你所喜欢的这个写法，就读华严经的智慧，阅读华严经的智慧。Let's pick it up right here, right there. This is what we're going to read next. Are we ready? You want to join me? Here we go. 菩萨20慧眼普观所有善根，无量无边，起诸善根修己之时，若求远，若半句，若致敬，若去入，若专利，若起行，若明达，若精神，若开始。Then with their wisdom eye, bodhisattvas contemplate all the good roots in their countless and limitless multitudes. When these good roots are cultivated and accumulated, whether by selecting conditions for them, perfecting them, purifying them, merging with them, encouraging them, practicing them, illuminating them, scrutinizing them, or expounding upon them, 如是一切有种种门、种种境、种种相、种种事、种种分、种种行、种种名字、种种分别、种种出生、种种修习，其中所有一切善根，悉是趋向，实力称心之所建立，皆系回向一切中智，唯一无二。We stop the sentence halfway. Ready? When these good roots are, and then you saw what we do with them, all of which have various methods of access, various states, various characteristics, various situations, various stages, various practices, various names, various discernments, can lead to various creations and can undertake various forms of cultivation. Each and every one of these good roots is established by the resolve for the vehicle of the 10 powers. Bodhisattvas completely dedicate them to nothing else but the realization of omniscient wisdom. All right, lots of Buddhist code language. So what are we talking about? We're talking about good roots. That's the stuff that we transfer, and this is the 10 Transferences chapter. So bodhisattvas use their wisdom eye, a different kind of vision. These are 8th-stage bodhisattvas. They are way down the path. They have already made a lot of decisions about their lives. And if you had to say what's different now, it would be priorities. They have a different set of priorities, things that come first, things that come next. And if you had to look into those priorities, what would they be? They would be, you wouldn't be wrong if you lined them up with three decisions. You know, when those of you who are listening, who have taken refuge, who are already Buddhist disciples, when you took the refuge ceremony, if you did it the way Shifu encouraged us to do it, there was a moment when you actually took the refuges themselves, when you made the vows. And the teacher, whoever was transmitting them at the time, made a speech, the introduction to it. And he said, we're going to contemplate. We have to ask you, the person kneeling there who's going to take refuge, we have to ask you to 做观想, to make contemplation, to use your mind in this way. And it went like this. It said, I want you to make a vow that you, first of all, just take a step back. It says you bring in all of the living beings who you have relationship with. Put them in your heart. then you bring in all of the insentient things in your world that support your life. Your vehicles, your clothing, the houses and structures you live in, the wristwatch and cell phone that you regulate your life with, etc., even down to the chopsticks and knives and forks you use to eat. Put them in your heart. So sentient beings in sentient states around you, bring them into your heart. And with a heart of kindness, it says, make a vast, great heart of kindness, thought of kindness. Then say, I will never again do any kind of evil. I will do every small act of goodness that I can. And with every breath I take, as opportunities arise, I will serve. I will be in service to living beings. Those are the three. No harm, all good, and service. Those are the things you make those vows. What are those? Those are good roots. So bodhisattvas say, right, I want to contemplate. You make those thoughts in your mind, and then as you do that in the ceremony, back to my ceremony, as you're making those contemplations, you say, take refuge of the Buddha, take refuge of the Dharma, take refuge of the Sangha. Okay, so that's how you become a Buddhist. So those are really key. Those are the priorities. Remember, I said priorities. Bodhisattvas now have rebuilt their lives around those priorities. So no harm, good deeds, service. You're going to be harmless in your relationships. Find ways to live without causing harm. Furthermore, so that's going to get rid of that. Furthermore, the good opportunities that you have to make lives better for others, and then devote yourself to, they say, 利济众生, to being of service, to helping others. So it's a different orientation. Without those, or before you took those, what was life like? Me. I want to completely work for my own benefit. Anything that helps me, I'm going to do it. Anything that hurts me, I'm going to avoid it. Doesn't matter about the rest of the world, right? Selfishness. Once you're a Buddhist disciple, you are selfless. You work towards selflessness to transform the self. So there it is. Those are the priorities. And because of that, bodhisattvas contemplate good roots in their countless and limitless multitudes, all the different ways that goodness arises from that new set of priorities. And we just heard this orientation. This is a big criteria for transferring merit. Let me translate that and I'll come back. 好了，就是说菩萨现在他已经第八回向的菩萨，他的前后他的轻重，就说他的世界观都不同的轻重，他所认为重要的事情，跟他没有皈依三宝之前所认为重要的事情大不同。他是佛教徒，我呢，我自己个人呢，我是1973年皈依三宝。那么你们在听众现在123位在那听法，你们有没有皈依三宝？如果有的话，可能如果你皈依的仪式是跟我们师父上人安排的所建立的规矩，就说快要受三皈之前，就是那个时候，就那个就是穿三皈的这个师父，他就有话说，他就说现在要你们做3个观想。第一呢，他就说要发起一种广大慈护之心，你心里都要用慈悲，就没有害众生的心理。然后呢，就说要观想清非清净，怎么说呢？就是第一呢，要把你人生之间所有的六亲眷属，所有的人与人之间的关系，你的父母啊，你的兄弟姐妹啊，如果有子女啊，你的老板啊，你是老板的，你的工人啊，朋友啊，敌人啊，把他们所有的众生，你 有跟他们有人缘的，放在你心里，心里这个光荣亮大。OK， 那是第一。第二呢，非轻的境界，就是说维持我的生命所有的东西，就说那个就包括衣服啊、房子啊、汽车啊，你用的每天的用品呢，手表啊、手机啊，甚至于筷子啊、盘子碗，都归纳在你心里。OK， 那就是非轻和非轻的境界。观想，心里就想。然后呢，他就说，对于这些境界呢，要发3种的誓言。什么样的誓愿呢？就说，就对这些境界呢，就断害，就所任何小小的、大大的害处、坏的行为、不好、恶的行为断了，不要做。如果知道对人家有不好的这个效果，我绝对不做。第二呢，所有有好的效果，所有的善事，我一定要做。如果是对众生有好处呢，再小没有关系，我一定要做，那是第二。第三呢，就要利济众生，有机会看到任何可以服务其他的众生，我一定要做。就说断恶行善，就利济众生，我都要做。你能这样做的话，把那个规矩，把这个轻重，把那个次序就在眼前呢，你就说皈依佛、皈依法、皈依僧就皈依3宝。从那个时候到现在，可以说你的人生就像菩萨一样，轻重那个 priority 就不一样了那个以前呢，没有皈依3宝之前，你跟佛没有这种关系的之前，你就说一半呢，就所行所做完全是在利益自己，把自己放到前边。其他人呢，放在后边没有关系，不管。那个是没有你不是佛教徒之前，我们就参加佛的家庭之后呢，我们的 priority 轻重就不同。那菩萨现在，他就是第8回向的菩萨。你看他呢，这是比较复杂的一个，就说开始怎么说呢？菩萨在那个时候慧眼，他用他修成的这种智慧的眼光观察什么善根，所有的就他所修来的善根，众生所修来的善根，不怕多少，无量无边那么多。起诸善根修集的时候，然后呢，就讲一些条件。如果趋远半句致敬趋入专利起行明达精神开示，这些条件呢，讲得很详细如是一切，再有一些条件。有种种门、种种境、种种相、种种事、种种分、种种行、种种名字、种种分别、种种出生、种种修习，那么多不同的善根。好了，那个动词快来了，其中所有一切善根，悉是去向实力生心之所建立。什么叫实力生心之所建立？实力上就是佛菩萨发心度众生，跟着这个实力，菩萨十种智慧的力量，佛陀如来十种势力的这个方法，就是跟着他呢皆悉回向一切众智。他的回向的目的就是要众生成佛 完全是要众生成佛，就是一切种智就是佛陀，他回向给众生，希望他们快成佛，唯一无二啊，就是专门为那个。Wow, that's complex. Let me unpack it here. What's going on? So here's the Bodhisattva on the 8th transference stage. And he looks at good roots. He contemplates them. And then we get like paragraphs of what he means, the details of those contemplations. What kind of good roots are there? Well, there are good roots that you cultivate and accumulate by selecting conditions, perfecting, purifying, merging with, encouraging, practicing, illuminating, scrutinizing, or expounding on them. All those good roots, all the good deeds, all of the virtues, all of the benefits that are done by cultivation of the Dharma, the next bite or the next run through of qualifications, they have various methods of getting to them, states, characteristics, situations, stages, practices, names, and discernments, all those good roots, which can lead to various creations, 种种出生, yeah, all the things that can come from them, and all of the various forms of cultivation. Each and every one of those good roots is established by the resolve for the vehicle of the 10 powers. What is the resolve for the vehicle of the 10 powers? To finish, bodhisattvas dedicate them to the realization of omniscient wisdom. All of those good roots are dedicated to Buddhahood for others. Okay, code language. Those are technical terms that have profound connections in them, built in underneath. Code meaning it's a symbol for something else. And when you get the code, you can understand the something else that they're referring to. So what is it here? This is, it means that the bodhisattva contemplates all those good roots and transfers them for Buddhahood. And by saying that, what it means is the bodhisattva is willing to wait, is willing to defer gratification. The bodhisattva here takes the good stuff that comes from these and could be very comfortable, could be very secure, but chooses to stay in the discomfort and insecurity of dealing with the nastiness of living beings and the incredible setbacks and disappointments that arise when you deal with folks and other creatures, and waits. You go first. I will wait. Doesn't matter. You figure it out, and I'm here to help you, and then I'll go afterwards. That's what it means. That's what's tied in here. Bodhisattvas completely dedicate them to nothing else but the realization of omniscient wisdom. So living beings must realize omniscient wisdom, that is to say Buddhahood, then the bodhisattva takes his or her turn to go and get the reward. Okay. Now, this bit about the vehicle of the 10 powers, this is really interesting. Of the various lists that arise, some of you will remember Dr. Konza, Dr. Edvard Konza. Dr. Konza came to Berkeley back in 91 or 92, and Professor Lancaster invited him. And we got to study with one of the experts in translations of Sanskrit and sutras. He was particularly keen on Prajnaparamita. And Dr. Konza came from a family of European scholars in Austria, particularly astronomers. They were the generations of well-learned men and women who studied the heavens. And Dr. Konza didn't like what was happening in Nazi Germany, so he became a conscientious objector in Germany and fled to England and got connected to Cambridge University's Southeast Asian languages and there and established himself and did lots of translation, and then came to the U.S. And he, Dr. Konza, with his expertise in Prajnaparamita, his opinion was that all of the Mahayana arose from these lists of practices. That India, the cultivators in, like our Buddha, Shakyamuni, according to Dr. Konza, were out there immersed in the diverse world of Indian practices, all the yogas, all the swamis, all the fakirs, all of the cultivators and ascetics, who gathered things like the single vehicle, the two truths, the three refuges, the Four Noble Truths, the five roots and the five powers, the six paramitas, the seven shares of Bodhi, the eightfold path, the nine leaking appurtenances, the holes, the orifices of the human body, the 10 powers, the 11 wholesome dharmas, the 12 links, like that. That these lists and lists and lists and lists of dharma practices, this the Avatamsaka calls them the 84,000 dharmas, that this is how the Mahayana arose, and that cultivators would pass on the ones that worked of the various practices that people were actually, the yogas people were practicing out in the forest, in the bush. And over time, this is, the sutras, here we have the Avatamsaka saying all of the good roots came from the resolve for the vehicle of the 10 powers. In other words, wanting to be the bodhisattva path towards Buddhahood. So Buddhas and bodhisattvas share these 10 powers, 10 wisdom powers, and they are the foremost methods for teaching. The 6 paramitas, or the 10, yes, they are, but the 10 powers are abilities that if you have them, you know how each and every individual can be taught. So this is one of those things that Dr. Konza said was the heart of the Mahayana. He called them mother lists. And now that's his theory. I don't know if there are other people listening to verify his theory, but that was certainly what Dr. Konza believed. And these are how bodhisattvas taught living beings so that ultimately they too could become Buddhas. 讲到这个使力称心之所见力，所有这些以上菩萨现在用他的慧眼观察善根，所有一切善根悉是去向怎么样？施力成、施力成、施力胜心之所见力这是有意思。什么意思呢？就是欧洲有一个佛学的一个作家，一个翻译人叫 Dr. Konza， 他翻译梵文，尤其是般若智慧、般若经他就是这个Dr. Konza， 他是一个梵文，就是梵文巴利文的一个专家。他的力量，他的理论，他一个理论，他说，在他研究这个般若经，他认为汉传他不是汉传，他认为大乘佛法，我们所谓北传的Mahayana 怎么来的呢？是因为印度当时有修行人在深山里边，就用种种的方法、种种的瑜伽、种种的横门，84000不同修行的方法，有的就跟大道就归纳，有的是外道的修行法，没有好处的。他说大乘佛法 是因为行菩萨道的人慢慢的选择有利益的、有好处，就是属于正法的这些行门，就变成菩萨的这种84000法门。他说这些，然后我刚刚点出了，好比说呢，那个一乘，那个二法，那个三归，四谛，五根五力，六波罗蜜，六度，七菩提分法，八正道，九种孔常流啊，十力11善12因缘等等，就是这个名相，佛教的名相，就说那个就慢慢的成大乘佛法。他这个道理啊，有没有这么一回事呢？就是昆子博士他的理论呢，就是所以呢，现在就说这就是取向施力生信之所建立这些善根是什么呢？就是这个如来施力菩萨10种智慧力，就是度众生的工具。在第8回向，菩萨已经可以用、可以掌握这10种力量度众生的方法。当然，这个6波罗蜜、10波罗蜜也是度众生的一些工具。不过呢，这10力那个你如果有它的功用，在你的toolbox 里边了，哇，你就会度众生，然后慢慢的究竟你也可以成佛。所以这是菩萨他现在要用的这些工具来度众生。Okay, so I've been rattling on about the 10 powers. They come up a lot in Avatamsaka, and oh my goodness, when we learn about their function, how these 10 powers work, you really understand why these are the important tools the bodhisattvas use. They're all about understanding individuals among living beings and how best to teach them. So they dedicate these to nothing else but the realization of omniscient wisdom. 以诸善根如是回向，所谓圆德圆满无碍业身 ，I'm sorry， 无碍身业，修菩萨行；愿得清净无碍口业，修菩萨行；愿得成就无碍意业，安住大圣。Okay. Bodhisattvas make the following dedications with their good roots. May I perfect unobstructed actions conducive to bodhisattva practices. May I attain pure unobstructed speech conducive to bodhisattva practices. May I perfect unobstructed thought conducive to my firm grounding in the great vehicle. Wouldn't it be, think about what time is it where you are. Today it's now almost 1:15 here in Australia. It's 2 hours earlier in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong. It's 8:15, 8:15 in California. You can adjust to wherever you are. What have we done so far today in the words, in the actions we've done, the words we've said, and the thoughts that we've thought to lead us closer to bodhisattva practices, to make, to forward, means to advance our bodhisattva practices, and to ground us in the great vehicle. What actions, speech, and thoughts have we done that do the opposite, that take us away from our bodhi vows, that obstruct our efforts to teach living beings, and that lead us from not only the great vehicle, but even from the Buddha's path? So that's really helpful. You know, it was Zhengzi who said, who said, every night I criticize myself 3 times, that's not the right word. I examine myself 3 times to see what I have done today that increased the hold myself has on my wisdom, or does the opposite. It weakens the hegemony of the self on things that I do. And boy, when you do that, if you just, say, okay, let me take another look. What did I do today? What did I say? What did I think? Did it actually increase the self or decrease it? Was I working for myself or for others? It's really humbling. That's such a wholesome practice. And the problem is we become, Shifu would call them defense attorneys in defense of our darkness. But man, when you think about the things that when I think about the things that I do that just haven't changed since I was in high school, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, looking just without any wisdom at all, being driven by desires and motives of greed and anger and self-defense and all. It's really humbling to realize that those habit patterns are really strong. They bring us back life after life. So that's very helpful. And here the Bodhisattva is at the eighth transference stage, is saying, these are prayers, right? These are prayers. They dedicate with their good roots. They say, can I please everything that I do help fertilize the practices that I've adopted, the meditations and the bowing and the chanting and the mindfulness, the service, to advance the practices that I do. Every word that I say, may it do the same. May it just bring, like when I first took refuge, do no evil, do good deeds, serve others. May it advance that. And then, this is really interesting, may I perfect unobstructed thought that, how does the Chinese go? An zhu da sheng, peacefully abide, firmly, stably make my standing in selflessness in the great vehicle deeper and stronger. Yeah. So what would that be? It's not so much that the small vehicle is bad. It's that I think more often than we retreat to, even if we could get to this, what's called the small vehicle, right? To the idea of liberation for myself as soon as possible and gone, escaping suffering. It's that we, more often than not, are just lost in desires, that we just go from sensation to sensation and kind of dull the mind with distraction, don't even think about cultivation. So firm grounding in the great vehicle, yeah, that's the top of the mountain. Let's stay on the mountain and realize that our bodies are aging and heading towards death from the day we came out of mother's womb, right? That's the reality, that it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So while we're still breathing, while we're alive, let's work to keep our eyes on the path of escape and take everyone along. Yeah. So 就说菩萨开始回向功德，他就说身口意业就这等于祈祷，可以说这个回向愿就是一种祈祷。可是祈祷并不是向上帝来加持我，不是，他就自己对自己就说，我愿意我的身业、我的口业、我的意业都增长我所发的菩萨愿，我所修的菩萨行，我所修行的大乘佛法。多数呢，第三个呢，就说你的意业，不是说我就怕我从这个 大公无私、大慈大悲的愿力，一切都我是走最后，希望一切众生就在我前边成佛，不是那个了你就退那个然后就说我自己先跑，我自己先得度就不回来，不是那个。多数呢，讲我自己呢，就说今天我记不记得这个人的身体收到这个人的身体是就顺眼睛，就一扇眼睛就过了。我们从母亲胎出生那一天，就是一直向死亡就走了，就是不是说会不会死，就是说早晚就说所以呢，尽量的趁机会还在呼吸气，还在这个阳界，可以看到太阳，可以看到月亮，这个时候，这个辗转的时候，短短的时候，就尽量的用功修行，然后从那个知认生死，知道苦，就是苦集灭道，就是在眼前了，生死就在眼前，这个时候，我就可以用功修行。再者，我们就说愿意行菩萨道，想法子度众生，那就可以了。OK， so again priorities 还是这个轻重的问题。Let's do a few more here. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, that's good. I want to don't want to forget this. Here we go. I've enjoyed giving folks a chance to not only learn about Shangun, about good roots, but also give folks a chance to cultivate those good roots. 一方面，我们都要学习菩萨如何修善根，同时呢，我们自己要给他这个机会修这些善根。吉祥经 I have heard at one time the exalted one was staying at the town of Shrivasti, residing at the Jada's Grove in an Anathapindika's park. Then at the dark of the night, a radiant deva illuminated all around. She bowed down low before the Blessed One, then standing at one side, she said, 她怎么说呢？如是我闻，一世佛在是为度，是为国，其陀愿给孤独行舍。那个时候是深夜，有一天神殊胜光明遍照眼中，乃至佛所恭敬礼拜，站立一边，然后向佛就说 Devas are concerned for happiness and ever long for peace. The same is true for humankind. Please tell us what then are the highest blessings. 这个天人是天女，他就问佛，什么叫最高的福报？我就给大家机会跟我一起唱 These are highest blessings， 再来 These are highest blessings， 是为最吉祥。OK， 然后佛陀就答复这个天人怎么说？The Buddha answered the Deva's request. The Deva came and requested Dharma. Notice that. The Buddha said, avoiding those of foolish ways, associating with the wise, honoring those worthy of honor. Here we go. Ready? 大家一起. These are the highest blessings.These are the highest blessing， 这是最高的福，最吉祥的行为。Good roots， 这就是善根。Living in places of suitable kinds with the fruits of past good deeds, guided by the rightful way. Here we go, all together, 一起。These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Accomplished in learning and craftsman skills with discipline, highly trained speech that is true and good to hear.These are the highest blessings， 是为最吉祥。These are the highest blessings. Providing for mother and father support, cherishing families and ways of work that harm no beings, 是为最祥。These are.Highest blessing 是为最吉祥 These are highest blessing Generosity and a righteous life, offering help to relatives and kin, acting in ways that leave no blame.These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Steadfast in restraint, shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind.And heedfulness in all things that arise. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Respectfulness and humble ways, contentment, gratitude, hearing the Dharma frequently taught.These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. 是为最吉祥 Patient and willing to accept one's faults, seeing venerated seekers of the truth, sharing the words of Dharma often. These are the highest blessings.These are the highest blessings. Ardent, committed to the holy life, seeing for oneself noble truths, realization of nirvana. These are the highest blessings, 是为最吉祥 These are highest blessings. 快好了 Just a couple more. Although involved in worldly task, unshaken, the mind remains beyond all sorrow, spotless and secure. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Last one, 最后。They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go. Every place for them is safe. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings.就是最吉祥。Okay, congratulations. We've got some good roots to transfer now. 我们现在有善根可以回向。好的。All right. Now I want to share with everybody from this point. Here we go. Where is it? There it is. Right there. Last time we tuned in to Master Xuanzang's journey. We found him in Pakistan, what is currently called Pakistan. And in this place, he was born up in the northeast of India, in what is actually now Nepal. But from that place where he was, he walked. The Buddha walked for 49 years and covered all kinds of ground. And where Master Xuanzang is now traveling, there are sacred sites of places where people, now he was there 1,000 years later, but people still remember what the Buddha had done, and many of those sites were still sacred. They were remembered and memorialized as sacred sites for the Buddha. So wherever Master Xuanzang went, he recorded those stories, and he heard them and inquired about them, talked to historians and monks and the caretakers of those stupas and temples and miraculous places. So because of his journal, because he wrote them down, we now, another 1,000 years passed, and can remember. We can hear those stories and share in the legends. 玄奘大师呢，他就是从佛住世已经有1000年，差不多。玄奘法师我就是唐初，就是第6世纪、第7世纪啊。那么佛是在印度的东北部出生，然后他49年成佛之后就走路很远，走了很多地方，包括我们说现在巴基斯坦这个现代变成巴基斯坦的那个地方。在那佛去哪里呢？很多奇迹，很多的我们现在所认为圣地啊，玄奘大师呢亲眼看到了，他去哪里他就记录啊，他所听到的这个传奇啊，这些故事，就是佛当时在这里降服一条毒龙，就前生佛舍生为老虎啊，舍身为虎什么的，就是 玄奘大师就记录在他的日记里边了。所以我们再过1000年都可以听到了。所以现在他就在这些地方，就说城南400余里有西罗山，是如来昔闻半机，报药茶之恩，舍身下去。上个礼拜我们都读到那个了。We heard the story last week of how 400 li towards the south of the city, Mount Hilo, it was the place where the Buddha in a past life gave up his body to repay the kindness of a yaksha for half a verse. Remember, last week we learned about that. 蒙街离城西50里，渡大河，至卢西达家速多伯 ，OK， 速多伯 stupa， 高10余丈，无由王所造，就是阿育王，是如来往昔作次离往时，已到此身，是无药插处。Okay, it's hard to read these. At a distance of 50 li to the west of the city of Mangalore, he crossed the big river and reached the Lohita Stupa, which King Ashoka built. It was 100 feet high. This was where the Buddha cut himself to feed 5 yakshas with his blood when he was called the king of compassionate strength in a previous life. So not only were these places legends of Shakyamuni Buddha, but they were places where Buddhists in many, many lifetimes have performed miracles of renunciation and sacrifice for the sake of others. 好的，那么各位，你们会读中文的人都会读这些文言文哈。还有，城东北10余里，至恶不多，食宿赌钵，高30尺，在昔佛于此，为人天说法，佛去后自然永生此他。Going northeast of the city for more than 30 li, he reached the stone Adbhuta Stupa, which was 30 feet high. The Buddha spoke the Dharma for men and devas at this place. When the Buddha left, the stupa came into existence spontaneously. Okay, there you go. That's the legend. 就是这么一些就说奇迹的事情，就发生一些很灵感应。好比说那个 stupa 从地涌出来。塔西渡大河30里，至一精舍，有阿浮律只多，以施法罗菩萨像。He crossed a big river to the west of the stupa, and after walking for 3 or 4 li, reached a temple which contained an image of Avalokiteshvara, noted for miraculous manifestations. 这个观音菩萨像威灵极著，很多这些感应呢，就跟这个观音菩萨像有关的。大师在的话，这些像还在所以他就问清楚，然后记载他所听到的这些灵感的故事。城东北，闻说有人登越山谷，逆上喜多河，途路危险，攀援更所，见孽非良，可行1000余里，至达利罗川，即乌章那就都也。即乌章那就都也。Okay, people told him that crossing over hills and gullies, then going up the Indus River by a dangerous path, he would cross suspension bridges and climb over stone steps for 1,000 li, and he could get to the Dharata Valley, which was the old capital of Udiana. Okay, so far so good. 其川中有大伽蓝色，有刻木慈施菩萨像，哇哦，弥勒菩萨，金色庄严，高100余尺， 摩天底下阿罗汉所造，彼也神通力，将匠人生度10多天，清观妙相，往来三番，而乃公毕。Beside a big monastery in the valley was a wooden image of Maitreya Bodhisattva, very stately, golden color, 100 feet high, made by an arhat named Madhyantika, who sent an artist using supernatural powers up to the Tushita heaven to look at Maitreya, the features of the Bodhisattva, and then come back down 3 times and make the image, just like Maitreya. Okay, Maitreya Bodhisattva is in the Tushita heaven waiting to become Maitreya Buddha. And this arhat had the ability to send a sculptor up to the Tushita heaven 3 times and then come back and create an image. That image was there. Master Xuanzang saw it. Yeah. 就说这个罗汉呢，他就像玄奘大师呢，非常尊敬就说尊敬供拜弥勒菩萨。弥勒菩萨在那个斗率陀天，这个罗汉有神力啊，就把一个木匠，一个雕刻师傅送到斗率陀天3次，回来雕那个Maitreya 这个弥勒菩萨像，应该很灵。玄奘大师亲自看到。All right, here we go. 自乌多迦汉察城南，度信度河，河广3、4里，流极清极，毒龙恶兽多窟其中，有持印度奇宝名花，即舍利度者，传者覆没。At the south of Uttarakhanda city, the master crossed the Indus River, 3 or 4 li wide. Imagine how that's like a mile wide. The water was clear, but the current was rapid. Many poisonous dragons and evil animals made their nests in the river. Anyone crossing the river with India's precious gems or rare flowers or the Buddha's relic bones would certainly flip over in their boat. Okay, so there you go. Now, we've heard those legends that there are countries where the treasures are easily stolen. And the treasures are very valuable, and many people want to steal them. But there is a supernatural border patrol that prevents the treasures from leaving the country. And if someone unscrupulous tries to steal the good stuff, they won't get out of the country because spiritual Dharma protectors will capsize the boat. I've heard that before, and this is one of those places. 就是有这些传说，有的国家他们那个国宝，如果有恶心的人想偷，就带到那个国外，害到国外去卖的话，他们到了那个国的边际，都会有毒龙啊、恶兽啊，他们都保护国家，一定要把你的船呢就给反了。就他们不让这些国家的宝贝带到海外去，所以这就是其中那种的地方。Okay, 渡此河又到察施罗国。After crossing the river, the master reached the country of Takshila. Okay, take a look here. Takshila. Here it is. Not there. Right there. Here is Takshila, also called Takshashila, Tashila, Taxila, or Takshashila. This was the place, right there you can see, near Kashmir, not far from Afghanistan, but right here, close to India as well. This is the border of India. Here's Pakistan. That was, of course, partitioned only in the 20th century. So Here's the Punjab and the UP. Here is Nepal. Buddha was born down here. Here's New Delhi. 大家可以看到，这个是阿富汗，这是现在的巴基斯坦，把印度跟巴基斯坦分开。还有这个右是东部呢，就以前都是一个印度，佛陀在这边出生，然后在这边走路啊。Okay, so people get a sense of where Takshila is. Takshila was the place for education. This was where everybody went because the best university was there, and it was so difficult to enter. 就当时就是那个时候最好的大学就在 Takshila。谁愿意读书，有钱是那个婆罗门种，就那个贵族，他们都到这边来读书所以这是当时的 Takshila， 就是这么一个地方。There it is. Okay, now that was the place where wealthy people, Brahmins and Kshatriyas would send their children to get an education. 就说其城北12.3里，有速度波，无有王所见。每方神光，是如来喜在行菩萨道，为大国王。好战大罗波拉婆，志求菩提，舍千头处。At a distance of 12 or 15 li to the north of the city was a stupa built by King Ashoka, which often emitted a divine light. Light came out of the stupa. This was where the Buddha gave up 1,000 heads to attain enlightenment as he practiced the Bodhisattva path and as the King Chandraprabha in one of his previous lives. So not only do we remember Shakyamuni Buddha's events in this lifetime, but the events of past lives also are remembered here. 不但我们释迦牟尼佛他这一生的事情，我们在佛教里边，我们记得前生所发的愿、所行的难行之处。他次有伽蓝西净布施居摩罗多，于此制造众论。从此东南700余里，闻有僧和部落国。Beside the stupa was the monastery where Kumaralabdha of the Sautrantikas composed his treatises, and then another 700 miles, the master came to the country of Simhapura in Lion City. Okay, 又从大叉什罗北界渡新渡河，东南行200余里，经大石门，是系摩诃萨埵王子，于此舍身，四恶无责，妻子处，其地先为王子身血所染，尽有相似，草木亦然。Again, at the northern territory of Takshila, he crossed the Indus River. Continuing southeast for 200 li, he came across the Great Stone Gate. This was where Prince Mahasattva gave up his body to feed a starving tigress with 7 cubs. The ground was stained by the blood of the prince. It was still red in color in plants that were red as well. OK, 就到这个地方，有一个典故，就是佛本生故事，就很感动人，是怎么一回事呢？Long ago, ages before the Bodhisattva attained perfect enlightenment, became the Buddha as Shakyamuni, he was a wealthy Brahmin. And he learned all the things that Brahmins learned, and he was on his way to becoming a sage. He was a leader, he was a teacher, And he went out into the forest and established a hermitage like Redwood Vihara so that they could enter the higher life. And he was walking in the forest and things were dry and there wasn't much food available, and he heard roars. And a student who was with him said, "Those are the roars of a hungry tiger. Let's go back." The teacher said, "Wait a minute. He's not just a hungry tiger, he's starving. Let's go see if there's anything to do." So he went to the edge of the cliff and he looked down and he saw a starving tiger. There was a mother, in fact, a mother tiger who had 2 small cubs trying to nurse. But the tigress was so skinny, you could see her bones. She had nothing to feed her babies. And the teacher could see that her eyes, she was so hungry, she might eat her own children as meat, which would be a terrible thing for the tiger's karma. So the Bodhisattva said to the student, "Go back and find food for the animal. We don't want her to eat her children. That would be bad karma. So I'll watch her and keep her safe while you go back." So the disciple ran off, and the teacher saw how sad it was, and he decided that he couldn't wait. And so he said, "My disciple won't be back in time. So I've got to do something difficult." And so he took off his robe, hung it on a branch of the tree, and just like he was going to dive into water, put his hands together and jumped off the cliff. And of course, died on the rocks, which was the point. The tigress saw this broken body, came over and started to eat in order to get enough strength to feed her cubs. So the student came back and saw what the teacher had done, and of course cried and carried the story back. And so they thought this was tremendous self-sacrifice. And they made offerings there to the selflessness of the teacher. The Bodhisattva's selfless deeds remembered by the gods and humans who know the tale. And now this is Rafe Martin's version, and I went past it quickly. Rafe's story, The Endless Path, Awakening Within the Buddhist Imagination, Jataka Tales, Zen Practice, Daily Life. It's an excellent book. I have a copy at home, and I recommend it to anybody. Here's the link to it. And he mentions that there is a beautiful miniature, a painting in the Horyuji Temple in Nara in Japan, and about the Tamamushi shrine that shows the Bodhisattva hanging up his robe, diving off the cliff, and then being eaten. And guess what? I found it. Here it is. Here is the very picture that he mentions from the Horyuji Temple. Bodhisattva's taking off his robe. Here, he's diving down, and down here is the tiger feasting, and little baby tigers who are going to eat once mother has the strength to feed them. So this is one of those great stories of the past, of selfless generosity, and really, talk about selfless, willing to give up what we cherish the most, our human body, to feed, quote, a wild animal, but the Bodhisattva's concern was for the well-being of the tiger and the cubs. So he saved 3 lives by giving up his own, knowing that this kind of reward in his future lives would bring him closer to the Bodhisattva path. 这是佛本身故事，这是 Rafe Martin 一位朋友他讲的，就是佛他前生是一个婆罗门，一个老师，他走路听到这个母虎，这个老虎啊就快饥饿就饿死了，那个老虎有2个孩子在那儿，这个老师他看到这个老虎啊，因为现在快死了，他可能会吃他自己2个孩子，就因为太饿了。然后这个老师啊，他就告诉他的学生要跑回去了，拿一些食物拿回来了。然后学生走了，这个老师就说：“哎呀，来不及了，我可能如果我就把我的身体给这个老虎吃，他 就不会造这个恶业，吃他自己的孩子，所以他就脱下他的衣服，从那个高山上跳到这个那个山谷里边了。这个老虎啊，看到有这么一个人死了，他就开始吃，然后自己的体力就够了，就喂他2个孩子。学生回来了，看到师傅这样做的，真的认为这是难行能行，难忍能忍啊，一般的人就不愿意做了，所以他们就供养这个地方，把这个故事传下去。这么大公无私的不自私不自利的一个菩萨他就这样做呢，就是值得他们的赞叹。所以 Ralph Martin 他在这本书里边 Endless Path 就传这个故事，然后呢他就说日本有这么一个小小的一个图，就是画的菩萨他脱下衣服跳下去，然后被老虎吃了。这种大公无私，当然这个行菩萨道的这个人，当时的佛在那个佛的前生，知道他能这样做呢，来生他自己都有这个福报啊，他呢可以早一点他的度众生的愿快点就圆满了，所以不怕这种苦那么这样子愿意为众生吃亏难得了。所以那么玄奘大师呢就现在看到那个地方都记在这么一个在因地上舍身喂虎把生肉布施给老虎这种的典故。Okay. Should we dedicate merit? Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We can bow to the Buddhas. Please join. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for today. See you all next week. Amitofo. Bye, everybody. Amitofo.
Thank you, 师法师。
Amitofo.